Hello and welcome to Arkansas Style. I am your host, Nicole Neiman, and today we are going red. We have teamed up with the American Heart Association for a Go Red takeover, but it's so much more than just wearing red. Today's show is going to be all about women making a commitment to stand together and take charge of their heart health. And we'll sit down and discuss, demonstrate, and get a deeper understanding of what it means to go red. We'll talk to UAMS neurologist Dr. Sanjiva about some of the things that can happen when your heart isn't working at its best, specifically strokes, which affect thousands of individuals every year. And physical activity and exercise triggers healthy changes in almost every part of our body. So we'll have our cardio queen, Heather Abed, here later to show us some heart-healthy workouts to add to your routine. And did you know that love, laughter, and even hugs can have a healthy effect on your heart? It's true, and relationship counselor Charlie Simpson will join us later to share some fun tips and facts on how to increase the release of those healthy heart hormones. But first, one way to take charge of your heart health is to learn precaution. CPR especially, if performed immediately, can double or triple a cardiac arrest victim's chance of survival. So Nikki Smith, Executive Director for the American Heart Association's Central Arkansas Division, is here to show us some CPR techniques to help us beat the beat. Hey, thanks for being here, Nikki.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
Girl, I got to tell you, this is my first time that I'm going to learn CPR. I know, shame on me.
No, really, it's so easy, and that's really what the message is all about, that this is so easy. We want one member of every household to learn CPR, hands-only CPR.
Yeah, and you know, like Dr. Way, one of our contributing experts, is a big proponent of this. And
Right.
once you've learned it, it's a skill you'll have for life,
Exactly.
right? And hopefully you'll never need it.
Hopefully you never need it.
Can you tell me the difference between a cardiac arrest and a heart attack? When would we do CPR?
So cardiac arrest is electrical, so that's when the heart has a malfunction and it stops beating. And a heart attack is a malfunction where there's no more blood flow to the heart.
Okay.
And so a cardiac arrest is like what you saw on January 2nd. It was a sudden cardiac arrest, the heart stops beating, and that's typically when you need CPR.
To get that heart starting
To get the heart
beat.
start going, yes.
Again, I know sounds really basic, but that's how basic I am. You know, just trying to understand the
that's fine.
physiology behind it.
Yeah.
So our heart stops beating at a cardiac arrest, and
Right.
a CPR is going to help restart the heart?
What you're going to do is circulate oxygen back into the heart until a medical professional can get there to get them to a hospital, or until you can get an AED, which will restart the heart.
So I'll actually be the heartbeat, you know, with my hands. I'll actually be pumping the heart for it.
Once that person starts breathing again, yes, you will actually could potentially be saving that life, getting them to you will be the beat.
There we go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
tied it
be
right
the
in.
beat.
So we've got a couple of mannequins here
Yep.
that we are going to work on.
You want me to kind of walk you through this?
Please,
Okay.
yeah, let's start from the beginning.
We're going to assume that you've come upon a family member, a friend, or even just somebody you don't know, and you're a bystander doing CPR. If they're slumped over in their chair, the first thing you're going to want to do is gently take them out of their chair, support their head, and place them on there, and you're going to try to wake them up. Sir, are you awake? Try to wake them up.
Okay.
When you don't get a response, you're going to ask somebody that's there. If not, you yourself will call 911.
Ah, okay.
So you want to have 911 called as soon as you know there's an event, and then you'll start pushing hard and fast. And I'll show you here in a second.
Okay, so
And
they're slumped over on the chair, or they're
Or they've
unconscious,
collapsed on the
they've
floor.
collapsed on the floor.
Yep.
You want to prop their head up properly and lay them flat on the floor on their back.
Yeah, you
okay,
wanna
try
make
to
sure-
wake them up.
Right, you want to
Okay.
make sure there's a little bit of airflow ability through there.
Okay.
And just assume that the person will be like that. There
Okay.
you go.
So you
And-
want to prop up their neck, make sure you got some airflow. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And then you're going to take the palm of your hand and you're going to put it in the center of their chest. You're going to interlock with the other hand. And then I think we have some music.
Okay.
So one of the things that you want to do is you want to push about 100 to 120 times a minute to get the beat going. And there's a great song, Staying Alive, that has the right number of beats.
Is the best position for me to be
You want-
perpendicular to the
You want to
the
be right
person?
over. You want to be right over the person. You want
Okay.
your arms to be straight. You want to lock those elbows.
Okay. Lock the elbows, interlock the fingers.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you're going to push, and it really, when you hear that little click,
No, I didn't hear a click.
You hear that click?
Oh my
That
gosh.
means that you are pushing hard enough.
Girl, I'm not
And-
doing it right. I don't hear a click. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. And that's
And let me
it,
tell you
huh?
something, after a minute of this, I need a break. So if there's somebody else that can help you, get somebody else in here because it really is a lot of work.
Really?
It really is.
Okay.
It really is a lot more physical work than people realize. So you just want to keep pushing this hard. And hear that beat?
Yeah, okay. I think I can hum that to myself, you know, as I'm doing this. And you know what? When you're in a panic, it does help to have something in your mind
To
like
calm you
that
down.
to calm you down. And if you're starting to think of that song,
Yep.
all of a sudden it becomes not a dance, but it becomes something that you're not so focused on.
Yep.
Breathe, breathe,
Breathe.
breathe.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So once you've done this, how do I know
Here we
when to
are.
stop?
Well, if the person becomes conscious.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened? Like again, I don't know what that looks like. So they open their eyes, they start coughing. You can tell they're breathing.
I think from what I've seen and in videos, you're gonna know when
You're
they're-
gonna know.
Yeah.
And then what do I do? So we called 911. Do I do anything else? Do I roll them on their side? Do I just leave them be?
So when you call the 911 operator, if you're not reviving them, I would leave it up to them to tell you what your next steps are. Because the hands-only CPR is really just to keep the oxygen circulated in their organs there until you can get a medical professional there.
Okay, so Nikki, one more time without the music. Let's just show.
Put the palm of your
nice and
hand in
close.
the center,
Nice and close. The palm of your hand in the center. Okay.
arms straight.
Can you get there, Will? Nice and close here. Interlock the fingers.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then you're gonna be
Use
right
the heel
over-
Of, use
right
the
over
heel of
the-
your hand.
Yep.
Okay. And she is pressing with some decent force. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So this isn't, like you said, it is a workout. And if you're doing it right, you should feel it, that you're helping this person, restart
Right.
their heart pumping or whatever, right?
Right. And if you are somewhere where there's an AED, that's the first thing you do is call 911, start doing the compressions, and then ask for someone to bring the AED.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
AED will talk you through how to do it.
how often do people experience cardiac arrest where you're going to actually have to perform CPR?
I'm out of breath.
It's hot in here too.
Okay, so here's some statistics that will really help people understand why this is so important for you to take the time to learn CPR. 70% of all heart attacks that happen out of the hospital happen at home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you're listening to this and you have a family of 4, one person or 2 or more, we want the whole family, to learn CPR means that you potentially could be saving the life of a family member, a close friend, or even a neighbor for that matter. But again, even a bystander, we want to be able to save a life. So
Okay.
70%. And for every time when CPR is administered within seconds, I mean, you want it to be immediate. You can't wait and try to figure out what to do. You're going to have to get started. It increases the ability or their survival rate by 2 and 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So valuable, so simple.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you taught me. Even at my ripe old age, I can learn new tricks and ones that, hopefully I'll never need, but I certainly.
Let's hope we never need it, right?
Yeah. Well, Nikki, thank you for teaching
bet.
us this and,
You bet.
making it so approachable and easy to understand. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to do it.
All right. Happy Heart Month.
Happy Heart Month.
When we return, Dr. Sanjeeva Antadu, neurologist at UAMS, will be here to share some insight and preventative measures for strokes and hypertension. Stick around. You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK. Style. We are going red today in the spirit of women's heart health, and we have only just begun. Many people are familiar with what a stroke is, but did you know that on average, someone in the U.S. dies of a stroke every 3 minutes and 17 seconds? That is far too common for comfort, and UAMS neurologist Dr. Sanjeeva Antadu is here to prevent a deeper understanding on what to look out for, as well as how we can prevent this medical emergency. Doctor, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
So a stroke. This is a problem with our heart? Yes,
so
no?
it can be a problem with heart. All the risk factors, high blood pressure, diabetes, which cause problems to your heart, can cause the same problems to your brain and cause strokes.
Okay, so stroke, I'm so sorry. I am not a doc, obviously, and I don't even play one on TV. But so a stroke happens in your head.
Yes, in your brain, yes.
And is it caused from your heart? I don't understand how those two things are related.
So there are blood vessels. Whenever you have all the risk factors we call, most commonly high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol problems, and people smoke, they don't do exercise, overweight, all this can cause cholesterol buildup in your blood vessels. Whatever happens to your heart blood vessels, same thing will happen to your brain too. So that can lead to blockage of the blood vessels in the brain, which can cause strokes.
Okay, so now we know what a stroke is, or at least I know what a stroke is. What are the 5 ways to prevent a stroke?
So there are several ways. The main thing is to control your risk factors, like treating blood pressure, diabetes, going to check with primary care doctors to see if you have any of these conditions and taking treatment. Stop smoking, and you have to be more physical, moving around, doing exercise, are the main things which can prevent you from having strokes.
Okay, Dr. Way, our contributing expert here, does talk about some of these things. They're not so scary because high blood pressure, diabetes, these are things that are treatable, but you have to go see your doctor first. Fair?
Yes, fair.
Okay, and that is going to help us avoid having a stroke.
Yes.
Are you more prone to having a stroke if it's within your genes and your family history?
There is a hereditary component to it. So if you have any family history, you are at increased risk of having strokes.
Okay, and so you have the buildup that you're talking about in your veins, in your heart, or in your head. How do we know if we're building that plaque up, or I don't remember what you called it, but
These are called silent disorders because we don't know that they're building up. And that's why it's important to follow up with your primary doctors to go check if you have any of these conditions. So people can be not going to see doctors, they think they're fine, but one day they keep having this high blood pressure, changes to their blood vessels, and one day they have strokes or heart attacks.
And a stroke is particularly dangerous because a lot of times you can't undo the harm that's been done, right?
Yes. Each minute of untreated stroke, you are losing about 1 million neurons. So if you are not treated, so that's a lot of neurons which are dying each minute of untreated stroke. So it's very important that once you have a stroke, it's very important that you go seek medical attention right away. We have treatment available for acute ischemic strokes. You can treat them within 4.5 hours, and some kind of strokes up to 24 hours. But you have to call 911 and go to the emergency departments right away.
Interesting. Wow, that's incredible science. I'm trying to remember, and I know that you'll remember this, but there's a certain sign, like an acronym of.
Yes.
Sorry, tell me.
So
you can tell. I'm doing my best.
So we teach everyone to be fast. That's the mnemonic we remember.
Okay.
It's easy. So B stands for balance or balance problems. E stands for eye or vision problems. F stands for facial droop. A stands for arm weakness. S stands for speech problems. If you notice any one of these, it's time to call 911. So if you call 911, if you notice any one of these symptoms, your chances of detecting a stroke are pretty high. And if you call 911, the EMS providers are well trained to recognize these symptoms and take the patients to appropriate hospitals where they can give life-saving acute stroke treatment options available.
Do you still prescribe aspirins or anything along those lines for these types of problems?
Yes, especially if someone who had stroke, they're at increased risk of having strokes. Depending upon why people had strokes, we have several different preventative strategies. But one of the main things is controlling your risk factors. Again, it comes down to treating blood pressure, diabetes, stop smoking, cholesterol problems, being more physical. These will prevent you from having more strokes.
All right, last question. About what age do strokes become a problem in women in particular?
So usually you're looking at 50s and 60s or older people, but now what happens nowadays is younger and younger people are having strokes too. So if someone is having a stroke at an younger age, we look for different causes. But we see in Arkansas a lot of young people are having strokes.
Well, you heard it here from the expert, some great life-saving tips. I appreciate you coming in and sharing all this knowledge and being patient with me
Sure,
as
thank
I'm
you.
learning. Coming up next, our resident expert, Dr. Jean Way, board-certified cardiologist, will give it to us straight from her heart on how we can keep our heart healthy. Stay with us. You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
Welcome back. Now, what would a show about heart health be without our own Dr. Way lending her time and talent to the conversation? Dr. Way is a board-certified cardiologist with a PhD and MD from the University of Illinois. She was also the director of the Division on Aging at Harvard Medical Center. She now calls UAMS home, and we are very glad she does. Dr. Way, the heart is literally and figuratively near and dear to you. Can you help summarize this Heart Health Month?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole. I'm so delighted to be here, and I'm honored to be among some of the great experts in this area for all the people that you've invited to come. What an honor it is to be here. I would like to start by saying you all know how important heart disease is, cardiovascular disease is, but just to summarize it very quickly, you probably have heard this already, but approximately every 34 seconds, someone dies of heart disease, and that's very serious because it's probably even more frequent than that because 10% of the people have silent heart attacks we don't know about, and then there's others who die and we don't know until much later. So it's even more frequent than every 30 seconds. Now, here's the thing that's even more important for us. I think we need to know that most women are not aware that they are just as likely to die of heart disease in the United States as men. But whenever we talk about a heart attack or a stroke, most women, because they are who they are, they think about their loved ones, and they think about their husband, their son, their boyfriend, their brother. They don't think about themselves. So it's about time, women, we got to think about ourselves. Pretty ladies, you got to do that. And what's the most important thing you can do? Prevention, 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 okay? So we got to talk about the risk factors, we got to talk about how to address them. But even more important than that is we're in Arkansas. Now, as you probably know, Arkansas ranks between 1 and 3 in some of the things that you and I aren't always so proud to talk about. But today, I want to remind us of the fact that Arkansas ranks #1 in cardiovascular disease deaths. Arkansas also ranks #1 in disparity in outcomes from cardiovascular disease in our state. We are #1, which means we have a lot of work to do. Okay.
Dr. Way, is it too late? I mean, if you're at home and maybe you haven't seen the doctor in a while, or maybe you're still smoking, or et cetera, are there things that we can do to help reverse some of the damage we've already done if we haven't already had a heart attack?
Yes. So the answer is absolutely yes, yes, yes. And the reason for that is no matter what, it's never too late to quit. Okay, I'm really serious. For people who smoke, if you quit even now, right now, and even if you've smoked for 150 years already, say, that would be like 2 to 3 packs a day, say. But anyway, even if you quit now, you're going to start to accrue the benefits within 6 months. And within 2 years, you're going to be almost as good as new. So just think about that seriously, okay? Now I want to talk about the other major risk factors. We talked about it a little bit. High blood pressure is big time, big time. Now for women, of course for men too, I want to remind you guys, it's your blood pressure if it's elevated in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. That is when you need to get it down. Why is that? Because if your blood pressure is high, and you don't treat it, you're going to be at greater risk for developing memory loss. Seriously, okay? So you got to get it treated. Now, what else is so important? Well, of course.
Let me think. Does it start with an E? Exercise?
Yes, thank you. We got to talk about that. Inactivity is not your friend, okay? Some people used to say sitting is as good as smoking. Well, it's not quite, but sitting is not good. Now, if you think about exercise while you're sitting, you can get like 2% credit, but that's not enough. You really have to do something. Okay, one more thing, diabetes, okay? We gotta get your blood sugar down because an elevated blood sugar causes inflammation. Inflammation is gonna cause all of the sequence of events that's gonna make you at greater risk for heart attack, for stroke, for all the things you don't want to have.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes,
Not too deep, but why did you choose cardiology as your specialty?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Well, when I was an undergrad, I was actually a physics major and a mathematics major. And the thing about cardiology was it was about mechanical events and electrical events. And so I thought, gee, that's pretty cool to put the two together. And so that's kind of why I was interested. And I want to just bring up one thing you and I discussed a couple weeks ago about the cardiac arrest that Damar Hamlin had. And I mentioned mechanical electrical transduction of energy. And I thought, well, afterwards I didn't explain very well what I was saying. What I was trying to tell you is that the CPR is very important to keep the blood flowing. But the other thing that potentially could help you is if you can put enough, if you will, mechanical pressure transduces to electrical energy, and you can cause the heart to depolarize and resynchronize by you, not necessarily any other mechanism. And this is so important because this is how some of our patients have been able to be revived. A chest thump, you might have heard of that, gives you 5 joules of energy. It can convert an early irregular heart rhythm if it's done fast enough. But then if it's not, then you have to have obviously the cardiac defibrillator to do it. But the point of it is if you could get there quickly enough, within seconds, a chest thump like that gives you 5 joules. You could convert the person to normal sinus rhythm if you're lucky and if the patient is lucky.
And exactly, and now we're lucky to have you on our
Thank
team
you.
weekly. Dr. Way is always here giving us great advice, and somehow it all seems to come back to the heart. Emotionally.
Well, yes, of course.
And physically.
Yes.
I appreciate
Yes.
everything you do for
Thank
us
you.
and our audience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Way.
Thank you.
We're going to, Dr. Way, advise and get our blood pumping with a little activity. Get ready for a workout with Heather Abid next. Stick around. You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
Start it up.
Welcome back to Arkansas Style. We are going red today in collaboration with the American Heart Association and focusing on all the ways to take charge of your heart health. And exercise is the obvious choice when it comes to a healthy heart. And not only does Heather Abid make working out fun, she makes it easy and doable, except for maybe I spoke too soon, because today
We'll see.
we're going to really work it out.
That's right. We're going to do a little cardio today.
All right.
I loved that Dr. Way said inactivity is not your friend, because it is not your friend. Our bodies were built to move. They were built to sweat. They were meant to have, just burn off all this energy and be healthy. And so if you sit, you're not doing any of that. So we want to get up on our feet at home, and I'm going to show you some easy tricks you can do at home to get your heart pumping. We are going to get our heart rate up a little bit.
Okay.
Before we do that, I always want to say there are 3 things you need to do before you start exercising. Is 1, check with your doctor. Make sure it's okay that you exercise. Find out what modifications and precautions you need to take. And then you want to discuss those with your fitness instructor so that they know what you can and cannot do in class, so that they can help you modify so that you're working out safely. And then the 3rd thing is just always listen to your body. I always tell my customers, if you can't sing along to the song we're dancing to in class, or you can't count to 8 without gasping for air, you're working too hard. So you should always be able to talk. So those are 3 things that I think your viewers need to do before they start an exercise program.
And that's no joke. I mean, it sounds like cautious mom talk,
But
but
it's
it
for
is
real.
legit, because I'm sure you've seen and I've seen, when people over-exercise, that it can do more harm than good.
Absolutely.
All right.
So 3 things. And then I get asked a lot, how often should I exercise? And that's a great question. So you want to do, the goal is to have 30 minutes of aerobic exercise 5 days a week.
Whoa, okay.
So
All right.
It's a lot.
All right, and jazzercise.
Yeah,
you've
and
got
jazzercise,
classes?
we're doing all that. We're going to give you cardio, we're going to sculpt your muscles, we're going to stretch you out so you're going to get a well-rounded workout. Today, we're going to focus on the cardio portion, okay?
So Heather asked if I could do my exercises in my high heels.
We're
and I
gonna
said,
find
"Girl,
out."
I've danced all night.
We're
in
going to
these
find
high
out.
heels.
So first thing we're going to start with, we're going to do all low impact today.
Okay, all right.
So that you don't have to jump if you're at home. Okay, so you want to start with a warm up. So this is what you call a side touch jumping jack. So you're just getting the arms up overhead. Something to know about, if you're not using your arms when you're doing cardio, you're missing out on about 20% of your heart workout. So always get the arms involved. You want them up over your head. So that's a good way to start, and you would do this for about 30 seconds or so.
Feels good.
Yeah, so side touch jumping jack. Very easy modification of a regular jumping jack. Then you want to take and do some knee lifts. And you want to, again, get the arms overhead, pulling those knees up. And anytime your knees come up, your abs get tight.
Yeah.
You keep your chest nice and tall so you can lift and breathe.
Hey, everybody in the audience
And you
back
ought
there
to
is
feel your
laughing
heart
at
rate
me.
going up a little bit here. And you would do knee touches for 30 seconds. Then we're going to change it to what I call a speed skater. So it's a step behind. Think about those speed skaters in the Olympics. Your body is forward. You're using your abdominals. You're using your legs.
Hey, Charlie.
And then you want to go a little faster. You can go singles. So again,
That feels good.
there's no impact. It's all good for your joints, but it's getting your heart. Is your heart going? Because mine's starting to beat.
No, I feel good.
You feel good?
Am I not working hard enough?
I don't know.
Or
Keep
am I
going.
just that physically fit? I
You are
didn't
just
know
that
it.
physically fit. I knew it. So after speed skaters,
Feels good though.
then we're going to go to a squat jump. I love these.
Ooh.
Now you don't have to jump. You can just lift your heels up, but this will get your heart pumping. So at Jazzercise, we call these pliés. If you're at the gym,
Okay,
they
that's
call them
hard.
squats.
Okay.
Plié is a much prettier
All
word.
right, that's a hard one.
That's why we saved it for the end. And then you can go back to your speed skaters.
Okay.
Squat jumps are great, but this should all get your heart going. I mean, my heart's pumping. I'm starting to be a little slightly breathless.
Hey, Felicia, can I borrow you for 1 second?
Do you
Come
want
on
to
out here, because Felicia came and tried a jazzercise
She
class.
did.
Felicia, come on
So
over
then you
and
can
stand
go
next
back
to me.
to your knee lifts.
Tell us about the jazzercise class that you did.
Now that we're all breathing.
If you think it's a bunch of ladies just fiddling around, you're mistaken because they are really in there working. It was a challenge, I'll say that.
It's a hard workout.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
But it was great, and I'll be back today.
I'm glad you had fun. Yes.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun. I saw
Right.
some of Felicia's clips, and the music is fun.
Yeah, the music
And you
is
know what's
awesome.
neat is that in that whole class, it keeps your energy up. You know,
Yes.
it's like I'm not going to quit.
It's all about having fun, moving, great community. I hope you felt all that.
I loved it.
Yeah, great music. So,
All right, let's see the routine one more time, all by yourself, girl.
All by
right.
myself? Okay. So if you want to start with the hard ones, your little plie jump, this will get your heart going. You've got speed skaters. This is great because it pulls in legs.
I love that one.
I
That's
love
fun.
a speed skater.
Yeah, it feels fancy.
And then you want to get knees up and arms always overhead.
Cute.
These are just simple things you can do at home. And lift, and then you've got side jacks.
Oh yeah.
You can add a hop if you want, or you don't have to. That's up to you.
And Heather, when people come to the jazzercise class, you do help reach everybody's different level.
Yes.
So even if you're new and you're starting this and you want to get your blood pumping, it's not like you have to be, you know,
Yeah.
at your level.
I get asked a lot, what's your beginner class? We don't have one.
Ah.
We want everybody, all ages, sizes, fitness levels in one class because one, it encourages you. You can say, oh, she can do this, I can do this. And we're gonna meet you where you are. We're gonna show you modifications. So if you can't hop, we'll show you how to do the move without hopping. If you want more intensity, we'll show you how to do the move with more intensity. I'm breathing. And again, if you can't talk when your heart rate is going, then you're working too hard. So you should always be able to carry on a conversation.
Good. And you're just so good for mind, body, and soul, girl. Thanks for always helping us out.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk to Vicki Wingfield and Allison Pittman-Gatlin with the Arkansas Heart Hospital about exploring heart-healthy options this Valentine's Day. Stick around, you're watching Arkansas Style on KARK. Welcome back. Did you know that heart health is the hardest working muscle in the body? It fuels just about every last thing your body does on a day-to-day basis. So it's extremely important to be aware of how we care for it. Vicki Wingfield with the Arkansas Heart Hospital is here with some recommendations to keep your ticker on the right track. Thanks for joining us, Vicki. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here today.
Well, how did you get involved in the Heart Hospital?
I've been there, I went to work as an employee. I've been there for 26 years, and I've been doing community outreach. So I educate in the community for the entire time I've been there about the importance of our heart health.
Really?
And then I was, in 2009, it became more than just a work issue for me. It became a personal issue because I am a woman with heart disease. And in 2009, I had to have a stent put in because I had a blockage in my LAD. So I come at this from two very interesting perspectives. One from the business side of you need to know about your heart health, and from the personal side of I need to keep my heart healthy so I'm around for a very long time.
And look at you. You look as glowing and beautiful and bright as the day you were born, I think.
Thank you, thank you.
So whatever you're doing is working.
Thank you.
So as education, and we're going to try and do some healthy choices, we have 4 tips to keep our heart healthy, starting with a Mediterranean lifestyle. What's that?
Well, that's your diet. So one of the things you're going to hear us harp about is movement, exercise, and our diet and nutrition, because it's very, very important for the heart to function at its full capacity in a healthy thing. So your heart's about the size of your fist. It lives right here in the center of your chest. It's a muscle, and it's the hardest working muscle you have in your body. Every 2 seconds you get about every time your heart beats, you get 2 ounces of blood pumped, and it perfuses through the body to keep that heart healthy. Over your lifetime, that's going to be about 3 billion beats. So that beat is so important to keep it, and we keep it healthy through a variety of things. Our exercise patterns, movement patterns, our diet, and what we do eat. We do prefer the Mediterranean diet. We think it's probably the most well-rounded of those out there. But just people to, I think, eat well, eat clean, eat good food.
Yeah.
Is half your battle.
And that is a little challenging for some people. You know, either it's a convenience issue or it's a cost issue. But when you're talking about a Mediterranean diet, it's just kind of the basics. It's fruits and nuts and grains, I assume.
It's really cutting out your processed foods as much as you can and going with very natural, non-processed foods and grains and things like that. And moderation is always very, very important as well.
Yeah. Now, there's some medications also that people are prescribed that they should be taking to help their heart. Is that true?
Yes, we have some risk factors that we can control through our diet and exercise. There are other risk factors that we control through our medications. So those are things like our hypertensive friends, our diabetic friends, all of those who have need for medications. I take a cholesterol medication because I am a heart patient. I have a family history of heart disease, so my cholesterol runs high. So for me, I take a daily cholesterol drug. So there are medications out there that to help us with those things that we can't control on an individual basis, like diet and exercise.
You know, what's interesting, Vicki, that I've heard today already from the 2 doctors is that going to see your doctor is critical because there are some silent things that are happening to you that you may not know about. Do you agree with that as well?
I absolutely agree with that. We need our physicians to tell us what is going on in our body because we are very bad at listening to our bodies. We do not want to know what our body's trying to tell us, and so a lot of times we have to let our medical professionals into the picture and be honest with them about what's going on so they can tell us what do we need. Do we need a medication, or do we just need to really get out and move and change our diet? There are all kinds of things that we own and can do for ourselves, but the things that we can't, we need help with. We need our physicians to give us that information.
Vicki, what would you say to somebody who's watching you and can kind of relate to your story, but they're too afraid to go to the doctor? What would you say?
Get in the car and go. It's your life. It is your life. If you want to be around and play with your kids, your grandkids, if you want to have a quality of life, you really need to know. Take advantage of screenings that you come across. There are many great screenings out in the community, cholesterol screenings, blood sugar screenings, blood pressure screenings, that will give you the information that I can put in your hands and say, this number is outside the standard, you need to go see your physician. So don't be afraid, just go. more information we have, the more you can take control and be truly preventive with your heart health. If you don't go and we can't tell you, or if you try to just hide and say it's not happening, it's going to catch up with you sooner or later in one way or another.
And Vicki, as a woman, you know, we're the caregivers. You
yeah.
know, we're always taking care of everybody else, but it's so important to put ourselves first too.
It is. We are the ones, you know, I can't go to the doctor today because Susie's got a ball game, Johnny's got to go to the dentist. In-laws are coming this weekend after clean the house. We can rationalize every excuse in the book, but at some point in time you've got to stop, look at yourself, and know I need to be able to take care of those around me, and I can't do that if my heart is not healthy.
Well, thank you for being such
You're
a good
welcome.
advocate for all of us and keeping our health and all the many years that you've dedicated to this. I appreciate it. And a real
you.
pleasure to meet you, Vicki.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
The potion for our emotions, Charlie Simpson, will be here to talk about how love literally can help the heart, keeping it healthy, one hug at a time. Stay with us. You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK. Welcome back to Arkansas Style. Love has been a great remedy for heart health. When a person has someone or something in their life that brings love, research has shown that it improves their health. Charlie Simpson with the Arkansas Relationship Counseling Center is here to share his tips on increasing love for better heart health. Welcome back, Charlie. So I hear that love is good for relationships, good for our heart, yes?
That's a beautiful thing when you can be in love and it become a positive thing for the heart. And it's not always just about loving someone like a significant other, but even having a pet that can be there for you can definitely be a great resource for heart health. But you know, what we know is that the power of touch, the power of touch, whether it's a hug or even just holding hands, and how those small things can help reduce anxiety, depression, and just help your heart with healthier, you know, with a much healthier heart. And what we notice is that this study where they put people in an MRI machine and they allowed their significant other or someone that they really loved close by to hold their hand. And what they realized in that research is that the anxiety, the stress lowered opposed to those that were holding the hand of a stranger. And so we do know the power of just being able to touch and how that can impact our overall heart health.
You know, and I appreciate, Charlie, that whenever you come and you answer these questions for us, that these are founded in science. I mean, somebody's actually crunching the numbers on these kinds of things, and these are truths that are tried and true.
Definitely.
So when you're talking about love, you know, you don't have to necessarily be in a relationship. You can find love from a pet, from
family, friends.
Oh, exactly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I find that even when I go to the grocery store and I interact with the cashier, how's your day? What's new? You know, that fills me with that connection that you have with people and that love, and you can feel those endorphins.
And those positive interactions, just that overall positive mood, and how that helps with just those feel-good chemicals being released and those stress chemicals being reduced. And so just those positive, you know, we deal with a lot of the mental health component to it, but just being able to have that strong mental health, being able to keep your anxiety, depression, those stress levels as low as possible, how that doesn't make the heart work as hard, and then it can keep you, you know, here on earth a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I mean, love can be a physical emotion. It can be a physical response. What happens if you're having difficulty?
You know, I always go back to communicate.
Oh, okay, all right.
And you know, we do have to find ways. If we finding ourselves struggling with a significant other, a family member, or you know, somebody that's really close to us, especially if they're around us a lot, you know, we have to find ways to communicate to figure out, you know, what's happening between us, so that we can find ways to reduce the stress, stressful interactions, and we have to try our best to implement whatever that is that I would need, that they would need, so that we can work together to reduce those stressful interactions.
Yeah, so Valentine's Day is coming up. Do you consider this like a pressure, you know, to turn up the heat on your relationship, or do you find it as an opportunity for somebody to really take advantage of the holiday to express their love for their significant other?
I always utilize Valentine's Day as a way to try to do something new, you know, and that is, what are some positive things that we can try to do to just jumpstart. I work with a lot of couples that could be difficult for, and so I always just encourage just starting with something small if possible. But if it starts to produce more stress for that couple, you know, that's a sign that there's a lot of deeper challenges that might be occurring for that couple, and they may need to find somebody that can help them navigate through that, so that they can get to that place to begin enjoying each other again.
What about taking responsibility for yourself? Like if you're single, like what can we do on Valentine's Day to show ourselves love? Maybe get those endorphins going.
Love yourself. Love yourself. Take yourself out.
Yeah.
You know, go find some friends that might be single with you, or even just family members that might not have a significant other as well. You know, being single can be a beautiful thing, and you know, you just got to make the best of it. And you know, there's a lot of challenges with being single, being able to face the loneliness, or even watching other couples, you know, interact and just kind of hoping or wishing that I could have that. But you know, outside of that, it's really just finding, you know, enjoying that person in the mirror and just being able to find ways to have fun, so that you can have that healthier heart. You got a plethora of guests that have come in and, you know, can put you in volunteering opportunities or exercising opportunities, and so, you know, that's those are good activities for, you know, single people to really jump into and have fun.
Well, Charlie, once again, thank you for keeping our hearts and our relationships healthy and happy.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. We'll be right back after this. You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
You're watching Arkansas Style on KARK.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes footage, and visit our website for clips of the show that you may have missed or just want to rewatch for a second time. We hope you learned a lot from today's show, and with all the tips and tricks from the top professionals in their field, from my heart to yours, we will see you all again next time with love. Ready? Mwah!
Arkansas Style with Nicole Neiman. Furniture provided by Hank Spine Furniture.